Hi, I'm Shelley Wood, and this is my tiny sewing room where I make doll clothes sewing videos. Today, I'm going to show you how to make this little pinafore dress, which will fit Monster High, Ever After High, and similar sized dolls. The photos for today's tutorial are a bit dark because I was taking a women's history class when I created this dress and its tutorial. Sorry about that. Before we begin, please go to shelleywood.com to download this free PDF sewing pattern. Use the pattern to cut out all the pieces shown. Set one of the bodice fronts on top of another bodice front, keeping, as we say, right sides together. Stitch the armhole areas and the neck. Clip your seams and invert. Here I am clipping seams. Now it can help to use a chopstick when you're inverting. Just give it a twist to poke out corners. So you'll see me doing that here in a bit. I'm actually using it to kind of poke out those straps. Now your bodice front looks like this. Set one of the bodice backs on top of another, keeping right sides together. Do this for both your back pieces. So around the neck, the back closure area, and the armhole areas for both of your backs. Clip each back and invert. So that's what I'm doing here. And there I am inverting using my chopstick with a little twist. Now you should have two back pieces that look sort of like this. Press all the pieces you've worked with so far. Lay one of the backs on top of the bodice front and stitch across the shoulder area at the top. I'm using a backstitch for this. There's a link to my backstitch tutorial in the description below this YouTube video. Do the same thing with the other back, and there you can see my backstitch. Stitch these backs to the front at the side seam as well. Let's put this bodice aside for a moment. Create a double fold hem on one side of the skirt by folding once and then a second time and whip stitch. You'll want to use the longest side of skirt for this. So you can see the rectangle. I'm picking a long side for my hem. I fold once and then a second time, and then I insert my needle to begin my whip stitch. Now if you need help with the whip stitch, I have a tutorial for that as well. So if you need help with the whip stitch, just look in the description below. There's a link to my whip stitch tutorial below this video on YouTube. Flip the skirt around like this so you're looking at the raw edge, and on the opposite side of the hem you're going to gather the fabric. Leave about 1.5 centimeter area ungathered on both sides of your skirt. Do not tie off your gathers until you've pinned the bodice to the skirt with right sides together. Once pinned, make sure the bodice fits the skirt nicely with that slight overhang of ungathered fabric on both sides of the pinafore style dress. Okay, so I'm showing you what I mean by all of this. Here are my straight pins, and if you look where my finger and thumb are, there's a little bit of overhanging fabric, and you want that fabric to not be pinned and not be gathered on either side. See that little bit right there? That's what I'm talking about on both sides of the bodice. You want that ungathered overhang. Tie off your gathers, and then you can unpin the bodice if you'd like to, and even out your gathers. You don't let them bunch up. That's the key there. Stitch the bodice to the gathered part just like how you had it pinned before, except you want it, not bunchy. Now your pinafore dress should look kind of like it is in this picture. So we have nice even gathers here and the bodice can be flipped up. When you flip the bodice up like this, you'll notice that it pushes the extra sides down like this, and that's what you want. Fold over these side wings to create a little hem on either side. So on each side you'll fold once and then a second time, and again whip stitch to create a back closure at the back of the dress. So here I am with my bodice folded up, and then my sides go in once and then a second time, and we're just going to whip stitch about, I don't know, 1.5 inches or so. Whip stitch to hem this closure area. Do this on both sides of the skirt. Like I said, about 1.5 inches is how much you need. And now your pinafore dress should look like this. Fold the dress in half with the right sides together, and stitch from the bottom of the back closure area that we just hemmed to the hem of the dress itself at the very, very bottom. Invert the whole dress, add snaps down the back. So here I am inverting it. You don't really need a chopstick for this part. And then add some snaps down the back. If you need help with snaps, I have a tutorial for that too. And now you're ready to try it on your doll.
What if there was an easy way to take a big doll pattern and resize it to fit a little doll, or vice versa? I'm Shelley Wood, the doll clothing designer, and in my pattern alteration class, I'm going to share with you my resizing formula.
Pattern alteration is when you take a pattern that you already own and you make changes to it. Let's say a dress doesn't fit your doll quite right. I'll show you how to create a gusset to extend the dress's bodice. Along the same lines, I'll show you how to use a doll's body measurements to lengthen and shorten shirt sleeves, and to recreate the pants patterns you already own so they will fit dolls of different shapes and sizes. Following my instructions, you'll learn how to reshape dresses and skirts, making them fuller or less full depending on the look you're going for. With this collection of more than 40 videos, you'll use my measurement guide and dozens of tips and tricks to create a full wardrobe for the doll or dolls of your choice.
I invite you to join me. We are going to have so much fun.